wet dreams on semen retention. Now, this is a major topic in the community, especially when we're focusing on making sure that we're not releasing, and then we have a nocturnal release, right? Now, the first thing that I do want to say, right, is that this is normal, especially if you are starting to get into like the longer streaks as well. And let's say you haven't done a longer streak before, like you haven't done a year, 2 years before in your life, right? Which is rare for most people, right? And sometimes you have to aim for those longer streaks if you get into some form of partnership, things like this, right? You more likely would cycle that, right? In qigong they talk about this, and in the Tao they talk about this. There's times when you can actually regulate, right, the energy. Also, if you're doing like sacred secretion practices as well, there is times in the month when you have to abstain, and then there's times in the month when that seed, right, reaches over the heart and it's naturally going to be pumped up. So you definitely can create a rhythm, right? But let's say you're doing, monk mode or God mode, whatever you want to call it. And so you have done 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Like I said, some people have done insane amounts, right? I personally, the max I've done has been 1.5 years, right? And this was because I've been doing this for a while, and there's moments when I just was not thinking about having sex, to be honest. Like, I was focused on my goals and my purpose, right? Now, I remember there was times when I did used to get nocturnal releases, right? Or nocturnal emissions. And at first it was a bit embarrassing, if I'm honest. But then I kind of started to realize, especially at the age, right? I was just like, I'm just young, man. I just have too much, right? So the body needed to expel that. Now, after time, right, and practicing and learning about different practices to help supplement your journey, which is what this is about, right? It's not just about, for example, retaining. Yes, retaining is important, it's core, but there's other practices around that that helps you to manage the energy, helps you to go into places of autophagy where the body will actually start to break down, right, the cells in our bodies that are not being used. And obviously those are cells inside of your body, high energy cells with a lot of vitamins and minerals. So you can actually train the body to actually use this through things like fasting, right? Working out regularly, working out fasted, right? And when I'm saying fasting, it doesn't have to be like these long streaks. You don't have to do like 7 days, things like that, if that's not what you're into. But I would say having like a 1 to 2 day fast at least once a month. I would say doing a 24-hour fast, like, or 36 hours once a week is really good, right? To help the body to really flush. And this is good for general health. But what this will do is that as the body starts to break down things, the body's very intelligent, extremely intelligent. So it will try to get the most energy out of everything that it's doing, especially if it's in a place of homeostasis. So if you are doing a 1 day fast at least once a week, I will say a 2 day fast when the moon is in your sun sign. This is when that seed, right, which is spoken about in religion to awaken Christ consciousness, that's when it's born inside of your body, right? If you fast for 2 days, the body automatically is going to go into a state of autophagy. Autophagy is when the body starts to eat the cells inside of your body. So you're not going to have this excess of cells, right, that the body could use for energy. Because most of your sperm cells, for example, are not going to be healthy. That is, we make millions upon millions of them. A lot of them naturally are going to be deformed, right? We all see it as these perfect little wigglers. That's not how it works in reality. So when we're fasting regularly and the body is in this state of autophagy on a regular basis, it will eat those cells, right, and use those cells, break down the minerals and all of these things, and use that to charge the body so that you will not have this excess, right, in your body, so it doesn't have to release. So it's normal to have nocturnal releases, but if you follow practices like fasting, working out, going for walks regularly, so that the body can use these cells rather than just storing it, right, and not having any use for it, then the body will not have a need to release it in nocturnal emissions. And this is like a physical representation, if you are having regular wet dreams as well, is that you are not actually using all of the energy that you have, right, effectively. It could just be that, there's other practices that you now need to start incorporating into your journey to make sure that you're not focused purely on the physical. Retention starts as a physical thing. You get physical energy. They call that jing, right, in the Tao, right? Now, jing then becomes ki, right? So I don't know if anyone's watched Dragon Ball Z, but like they start focusing on their ki, which is their internal energy. This is when you start to transmute the physical resources into energy, right? So the body starts to eat its physical resources and then turn that into ki. Ki then becomes something called xian, right? Now, I'm going to make it very simple, because sometimes these words, like, what does it mean? Physical resources, energy in the body, right? Physical energy, you can feel it. Sometimes you also feel like aura around you. Shen, right, is just having a stable mindset that's focused on being positive naturally. This is the refinery process. This is why all religions talk about fasting and prayer. Fasting helps to take the jing, or the semen, and create it into energy, which is just the energy inside of your body, right? And then the prayer takes that energy and focuses it on being positive and becoming more godlike, right? And when we're talking about godlike, we're talking about becoming a creator of your reality. So when you're having wet dreams regularly, understand that it's normal, but it's a signal for you to level up your practice. Your body is full, right? Which is a great thing, right? Your body is full. You've passed the first stage, right? Where you've got the physical resources in your body. The root chakra is full of energy at this moment in time. Now it's time for you to transmute that energy, right? Or transmute those resources into energy, and then start focusing on building a better mindset as well, so that this energy can flow up the body, right? And become your spiritual body, right? Where, it's like when you become Super Saiyan, right? And then you have like the Super Saiyan God, right? In Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, I hope that this video has helped with anybody that's going through or experiencing wet dreams, right? It's not something to beat yourself up about. It's actually a representation of you're doing the right things, right? You've passed stage 1, and now it's about leveling up your game so that you can become a better, more holistic person. Last but not least, guys, always remember, you're perfect by design. Stay blessed.